Welcome back. We're here with the great Robotprins, who just played a set for us. And we're rejoined by our old pals, Sam and Zach. And I am, of course, Kyle, the co-host of Tokyo Splosion podcast. And we're going to have a nice little sit down and chat with our buddy Robotprins. We got so much to ask him about. Indeed. Maybe you can just, do you have a spiel of how you introduce yourself? Do you have something set?
No.
All right. Let's just wing it then. Tell us about yourself.
Right. So I'm Robotprins. I'm half robot, half prince. And
which half is robot?
Yeah.
Oh, like which part of my body?
Yeah. Does it
top and bottom? I'm curious. We're like split down the middle. I'm more curious about the bottom part.
Oh.
All right, well, I don't have a penis. But so,
most robots don't. That's a little known fact.
Little known fact about Robotprins.
Is this canon for Robotprins? Did
that?
you just break big news?
I
news?
think, like, people took it for granted. I never actually said it. Like, they just looked at my crotch and they're like,
what you had going on, and they just kind of assumed.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess for a robot, that's pretty normal. So,
yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So
I guess your mother was the robot then?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Of course.
Oh, is that how that works?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, if my dad would have been the robot, I would have a big old... Robot.
This is fascinating. We're getting really anatomical.
Antenna, that's much better.
Yeah. What else do we need to know about robots, or is that all?
While we're on the subject.
Well, you know, these glasses, they are kind of robot-y, I guess.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I see you brought another pair. What does that give you extra powers?
Yes, it changes my abilities. So with this one...
How does that work?
I become... Hold on.
For the people listening just on the podcast, he has beautiful golden sunglasses with a crown on them.
Very impressive.
I become a lot more like intellectual. And,
yeah? Do you feel smarter? Do you feel it immediately?
I do, right away.
What's the smartest thing you can tell us with your power?
Like 2 + 2 is 4.
Nice.
That's pretty fucking smart.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. That's enough. So let's try it again. 2 + 2 is 1.
Amazing.
Yes, but so well. Also, I make chip tunes, which maybe you heard before.
We did. They were wonderful.
It's I make that to destroy my enemy.
Who's your enemy?
He's called Undman, and he's evil. He's pure evil.
Whoa.
So
where did Undman come from?
Oh well, so I'm also Swedish, by the way. So you need to understand that to understand. Und means evil in Swedish.
Half robot, half human, half Swedish.
Half Swedish, yes.
Half prince, half Swedish. Yeah.
Yes. So it's like evil man, literally. But he doesn't want any good. He just wants evil in the world.
So he's not
and he sells weapons to both Robot Land and Prince Land, and he makes up this propaganda about each other, so they go to war. And you see, that's where I was born, actually. Within this war, on the border, there was a young prince and a young robot who fell in love, and
the rest is history.
The rest is history, and there was I.
And now you fight the evil Undman.
Yes, to avenge my parents who were killed by Undman's evil squad.
Are these stories of your great adventures captured anywhere?
They are on my homepage.
Oh.
Robotprince.jimdo.com.
Jimdo.
Yes, Jimdo.
Robotprince.jimdo. Check it out and find out about Robotprince's good fight against the evil Undman.
Yes. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I hear that you have a new album out.
It is true.
Oh.
And actually, I got a copy each for you three guys.
What?
Oh my goodness.
So,
that's amazing.
here you go.
Thank you very much.
And here you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Robotprins
we
plays
can, like,
guitar.
show it.
Of course.
Yeah. See, I'm mainly a chiptune artist, but sometimes I also play the guitar, like when I perform live.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for the last year or so. So I decided, let's make an album where I actually play the guitar. Nice job.
I think that was a good call. Your guitar playing was...
Yeah,
It
thanks.
adds an element to the chiptune sound that you don't hear all the time.
Yeah, no, that's probably not a lot of guitarists. They tend to, focus on other types of music like rock or fusion or jazz or like pop or different things, but not that many go for this sound.
Which came for you first, chiptunes or guitar?
Guitar. Well, it depends because I love video games. So Japanese video games was always a big thing for me since I was a kid. And my favorite game is Mega Man.
I can hear that in your music, actually. Yeah.
Or Rockman in
And
Japanese,
Rockman
right?
in Japanese, yes.
Yeah.
So Mega Man, like, I didn't know it was Japanese at the time. I just knew this was, like, awesome. And, I remembered all the, like, the different stages, like, all the melodies. And, like, people asked me when I was a kid, like, oh, sing Fireman. And I was like, like, I had it all memorized. And then my older brother sold our Nintendo. And I couldn't play it anymore.
Wow. Oh no, he sold it without telling you? Or it was his Nintendo?
Yes, it was his.
All right, well,
And they were getting a Macintosh, and Macintosh doesn't have a lot of games.
Yeah.
So now they do maybe, but at the time, so I was very sad.
So you had to start playing your own music to recapture those beautiful melodies from Rockman?
Yeah.
Was that your way into music from Mega Man?
Not into music, maybe, but it was always there, I think. Like, I was always attracted by that kind of music. Like, that kind of melodic, nice chord progression things that you could sing along with was always nice for me. And I think, like, in Sweden, we don't have as much of that. Or at least not when I grew up in the 90s. Like, the music was it was more about dancing, or it was kind of stale. I don't know. But but like
Not so
Japanese
melodic.
melodies are very melodic, and I really like that.
So when you were that little, your impression was Japan makes amazing video games and music, and I want to move there.
I didn't know it was
no?
Japan.
Oh, you just
At the
knew it was
time.
some cool stuff.
Yes, I just thought it was cool stuff. Yeah.
But you moved here when you were quite young, right? Like
When I was
almost 10 years
19.
ago? 19?
Yeah. Now I guess it's like 12 years ago. Yeah.
What made you decide to move here that young?
I heard about this Swedish guy who went to Sendai in northern Japan, and he studied Japanese for 2 years there. And I read about his experience there, and
Like where? Who published that? Just on a blog?
yeah, just on a blog. So I read about his Japanese experience and how he was living in Japan, how he was studying Japanese, and at the time I was studying Japanese on my own. I was watching a lot of anime, and I was playing video games and all that stuff,
It's
and
the
playing
classic
guitars.
route
Yes,
to be
maybe
becoming
not
a
guitar,
Japanophile.
but yeah.
So then
Minus
you're 19, you're done with high school, and you're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Japan. I'm going to Sendai, like that guy's blog that I read.
Yeah, that was the plan.
That's basically all you needed? How did you figure out
Well,
how to go about doing it?
So the most important thing for me was that I wanted to learn Japanese. That was like, if I don't do it now, then I had a chance then to try it. If I waited, I don't know if I would have. So I thought, let's do it, and maybe if I went back to Sweden, I could go to university later, or I could do other stuff. But at this age, this is a one-in-a-lifetime experience.
Yeah.
I could try out. So I just, let's do it. And I was very motivated to learn Japanese. I always liked Japanese as a language, and it would be so cool if I could speak it. So I just, let's go and let's learn it. that's why I didn't care about living in Tokyo or somewhere else. Like Sendai was cool for me too.
So you came just to do language school?
Yeah.
And you did that for 2 years.
That's
And you
right.
stayed in Sendai, so you must have liked it.
I did. And then after that, I studied at Digital Arts. And I studied music for 2 years.
Mm.
I didn't feel finished with Japan yet.
Yeah.
And after that, I started working. So then, yeah. I started working in the music industry. So, yeah. So that was also a thing that I always wanted to do, was to work with music somehow. And then I finally got into that. If I went back to Sweden, who knows, like, what I would have done. But and now I've been there for like 12 years, almost 11 years, yeah.
And you're featured on a track on the new YMCK album, right? And you
That's
played
right.
a show with them?
That's right, YMCK. I probably started listening to them like 10 years ago.
They're pretty
So-
big in the chiptunes world.
Oh yeah, everyone knows about them.
Everybody. If you don't know, you're a
Everybody.
fool.
Yes, in the chiptune scene, you would be a fool.
Oh, damn, laying down the law.
Whoa.
If you don't know about YMCK.
So who did they contact you, or did you contact them? You said you've told me elsewhere that you've been a fan of them for a while.
Yeah. Well, so when I was living in Sendai before, I used to come to Japan to different chiptune shows, and I noticed one time that the guy who makes the music for YMCK, that he was in the audience. So, yeah. And this was like a small show too. There was like 30 people there or something, and he was one of the guys in the audience. Like, wait a minute, I think I know who this is. And
That's cool.
I went up to him and I asked him, "Do you happen to be Yokomura from YMCK?" And he's like, "Yes, that's me." And we started talking, and Yokomura, he has his own radio show every Monday from 10 p.m. and he sometimes introduces artists on his show. So when I told him that I make my own chiptune music, he asked me, "Oh, can I introduce it on my radio show?"
Oh, cool.
So that's how he found out about me, was that I started talking to him.
It's cool that he's actually connected in the scene.
Oh,
Even though he's pretty big in the scene, he's not just somebody who makes music and is disconnected. He's out there and exploring
he's out
new
there
stuff.
like all the time
That's awesome.
to all small events in Tokyo. So yeah, and
That's what you were curious about, right, Zach? Doing
I was
events.
just wondering what it's like to how booking works and all that stuff. Just in general, I guess. Like I mean, obviously, if you're in contact with him, I'm assuming he'd be like, "Hey, there's a show, you want to play it or whatever."
yeah.
Do you have it where you have like other people contacting you, or do you contact like people running shows yourself, or is it just like a kind of?
I have
a
done
sort of
both.
or what? Okay.
I've done both. Recently, it's been they contact me, but I remember there is a show called Square Sounds that is every September in Tokyo, and I asked the guy who organized it, is it okay if I play at the pre-party? And he said, yeah, sure. And
Nice. That's cool. Ask and ye shall receive, I guess.
Yeah. But then he heard my music, and
He's
he
like,
thought it
"This
was
is crap.
good."
Get out of here."
He kicked me out. You know, it's
Sucks.
like-
Never again.
Never again.
Can you lean into the mic a little bit more?
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Yeah, sorry.
Just a little bit. Yeah, perfect.
So, and I did a show there, and the organizer, he actually asked me if I wanted to make an album for their label. So I did, and that's Frosty Frolic. That's my fourth album.
That's one of the ones I have.
It is. It's
Yeah.
the one you have. Yeah.
It's good. There's a
Thank
song
you.
called, what is it? Hot Cocoa Loco Moco Tub?
Yeah, you almost got it. You almost had it. So close.
What is it?
What is it? Hot Cocoa Loco Tub.
Okay. It doesn't need the mocha. But
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
add the mocha,
mocha.
then it's hot cocoa and Hawaiian
Hot
food.
cocoa mocha.
It's a cover maybe.
I'll leave the the artwork to you. So you made a good choice.
So, but I mean, chiptunes, it's not a big scene. So, like, yes, I play at different shows, but usually maybe there's 30 people, or there's like, and sometimes there's more people, but so I haven't like a real band. Like it's not like, okay, we're gonna have 1,000 people here. And
you kind of making chip tunes. It's something you love, but you know that the audience is a bit limited. From the genre, but it's smart that you're adding guitar, which gives it a more unique sound and a kind of fuller sound. And the collaborations are interesting. That, like, you and YMCK, you're both chip tunes, but they also did a collaboration with the rapper Mega Ran.
That's right.
And so I feel like it's a good genre to blend with just about any other genre, and then kind of add depth to each, if that makes sense.
And YMCK, they do a lot of collaborations, but every time it's with someone within the chiptune scene. But like there's like a chiptune band that plays saxophone and like percussion, and then they do something together. They do something jazzy or something, and then I play the guitar. So then my part will be the guitar, but they do the chiptune part. So even though we do different styles of music, I think everyone they ask are someone that are in the chiptune family here.
So they're already making chiptunes and adding another piece to it, like how you add guitar. Somebody might add saxophone. Somebody might add rap.
Actually, I didn't think about adding guitar until pretty recently. Before that, I wanted to make just good songs like that. But they had a show, YMCK, they had a show called Chip Union, and I was asked to play there, and I said I would surprise them. And my surprise was that I played the guitar. And they didn't know what I was gonna do or something, but I'll do something different.
They were like, oh no, what's this guy?
Oh, maybe we should
we have somebody like watch him and make sure?
But that was the first time they heard me play the guitar. And it's like, oh, you can play the guitar? Like, yeah. So and from there on, I was like, yeah, this works way better when you do it live. Than just playing your stuff and act like you're a DJ or something.
And I have to wonder how like chiptunes artists, when they perform live, because I mean, like, obviously you make the songs and you have the songs. Is it more like a DJ thing where you have like pre-made samples or like pieces of songs and you plan to blend things together, or is it like you have songs that I mean, like I'm assuming everybody does it differently. But
yes, there are a lot of different ways to do it.
Sure.
The most common way to do it is they use Game Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Actual Game Boys.
Yep.
And they have 2 Game Boys, which they switch songs in between. Okay. And they can do different things live on them. Like change things in the song while they're playing it. And then they can change the tempo, or they can change different features and make it flow like a DJ would, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's one way that they do it. But then YMCK, for example, they focus a lot more on the graphics and how to make it a show somehow.
Those graphics were amazing. I'd like to talk about that. That was one of the coolest. I mean, YMCK, like you said,
so
that
awesome.
The genre by default is kind of, there's a limitation, and they're not going to sell out arenas. But their visual show is one of the coolest of any band I've ever seen, bar none.
Yeah, me too. It's and if you're a fan of those old games, NES, and then it's so special because
and they make it. The live tells a story. The show tells a story. So even some of my favorite bands, sometimes I go to their shows and like my feet are tired. I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up, boys. Let's go. But for them, the whole time there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. You're flying through space. You're going to different planets and meeting their collaborators like you and Mega Ran. And they interact with the visuals. The singer will pull out an umbrella and there's chiptune rain and it will fall around her umbrella.
Yeah, that was so crazy.
Or they can put up a frame and then things pop up in the frame and then they can move the frame around and the things move with it.
Yeah.
All while telling a story.
Yeah.
It's really, really well done show.
And another thing that is pretty cool is they start playing a game.
Yeah.
And then they ask one of the members of the audience to come up and play it.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was fake. I was like, okay, this kid is a ringer and she's not actually playing. But you said,
no,
as far as you know, it's real.
And I didn't know this before the show, but you could actually play the game on their website.
Oh, nice.
I somehow missed that part. Totally. Like, I was on the show, but I should have figured that out from the webpage. Like, if you scroll down, then they say, well, we have a game that you can play for free, so yeah, try it out. And then that was the game that they were doing live, and then they asked someone from the audience to play it, and she had been like practicing.
Oh, that's why she was so good.
Yeah.
Because you said they were amazed that she did so well.
She did it perfectly. Like, she had a perfect score.
This is the most Japanese stuff ever. Like, okay, I'm gonna practice this game.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go to the show. I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna nail it.
Like the other members of YMCK, they had like never done it perfect, and then she comes up and just nails it.
She's probably spent more time playing that game than the people who made it spent.
Yeah.
That's awesome though.
Cool.
It's fun to watch, and it makes it. Like I said, even bands that I really love, they can kind of start like, okay, I get the idea, but
Okay, thank you. Next.
but they're always mixing it up. Somebody new's coming out, something like that's happening where they're playing a game and you have to defeat a monster who's showing up in this cool visual show. And I'm not even familiar with all of YMCK's music. I knew a couple tracks from like YouTube, and at no point during the show was I bored or like, checking my watch or checking the time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And I think that their show is also, it's about the right length. Like, it's not too long.
Yeah. It's like an hour maybe, a little
hour,
less, 1 hour.
Yeah. So it's perfect length. So.
Sweet.
So where can people find your new album and YMCK's new album that you appear on?
So my album you can find on my Bandcamp page. Bandcamp.com/Robotprins
Or robotprince.bandcamp.com maybe? I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Just search Robotprins band.
Yeah. Robotprins
find it.
Bandcamp. Robotprins with an S, not CE, and one word. So yeah.
Actually, I can send it over here so people can see how to spell it.
Ooh, look at that.
Man. That's cool.
Very
cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Who said that? Very cool.
It was Red Letter Media.
Yeah, totally just ripping off somebody else's bit.
Basically. But it's more than just comes out.
Oh, okay.
He just says it all the time.
It is it's a bit from something.
Yeah, it's a reference to...
I thought it was something you two.
No,
Yeah,
it's
totally
totally
someone.
that I heard somewhere and it just got stuck in my brain and now it just comes out of my face.
Very cool.
Very cool. All right, anyway.
Nice little Red letter Media plug there.
Basically, they're funny guys. Continuing back to why we're doing this.
Yeah, what's the next step in the progression? You're in Japan, you're making the music, you love Mega Man.
Oh, yeah.
Now
guy.
what? I'm going to put the pressure on you for me not having any good questions.
Oh, man. I thought this was it. I thought I've done it all.
You've achieved it all.
I achieved it
You're
all,
at
but
peak
you
Robot
make it
Prince.
sound like I haven't. Like, yeah, you think this
Let's
is
put it this way. What else
Yeah.
could you possibly achieve?
Oh,
You've
that's
achieved it
good.
all.
Okay, so one thing that would be cool one day. So this is one of my goals. If I could have a signature guitar,
Ooh.
that would be
That'd be badass.
that would be badass.
Like the Famicom guitar that you played
Oh yes,
with the YMCK. There's a
Yes.
story behind that too, right?
yes. So one of the members of YMCK was the vocal from YMCK. She found this guy who makes guitars on Instagram, I think, and he posted like different like guitars with interesting shapes and whatnot. and then she found one which was shaped like a Famicom, which is like NES. How do you say it? NES
The Japanese
or NES?
NES.
Yeah, the Japanese NES.
But you wouldn't call that one an NES because the Japanese one is very visually
totally
different.
different, yeah.
Looks like a different
yes,
thing.
it's like white and red.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's not black and gray, which NES is.
So he modded a guitar basically to fit into the body of a Famicom.
I
Or did
don't-
he actually
No.
model the body?
Yes, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't
okay.
think it's an
Wow.
actual.
That's cool.
Yeah, it would be cool if it was an actual Famicom.
That's
like
what I
that.
assumed. It seems easier than
But how
somehow
would-
building your own.
I guess you're right. Like because you just need the what's it called? Like you don't need an actual box like for an acoustic guitar or anything.
Yeah.
You just
like
need
the
the mics.
humbuckers.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or
Makes sense.
pickups.
Pickups.
That's the word.
That's the word.
That's what they're called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pickups. You just need pickups, and then you're ready to go. Like it could be anything. Like it could be this like beer can. Or something.
Yeah, it could be a beer can.
Yeah.
Like a
Just
guitar.
put some pickups on it and start
Yeah.
jamming away.
Very cool.
Yes.
I'm sure that'll sound really great.
That sounds very good.
But
Yeah.
the-
Very cool.
I guess we don't have to explore this too much, but just out of curiosity, I wonder how much the body of a guitar does affect the sound since it's just being picked up by the pickups.
Like
But
There
yeah,
must be
no, okay,
some
yes,
reason
yes,
that
yes,
there's
yes,
a
yes,
body
yes.
on it,
Yeah,
right?
no, but
Otherwise,
okay,
everything
yeah.
would just be a little.
That's true. No,
Altoid
actually,
flux.
actually, it does affect. It does
Does it?
affect, and the wood changes the tone and how it
Mm.
sounds. And yes, no. So
Yes,
so,
no.
so you can't. Yeah,
Sam,
You can't make a guitar out of this beer can.
but yeah,
not a good one.
probably not a good one.
But the Asahi tin affects the sound. It gives it that
Absolutely.
signature Asahi sound.
yeah, it sounds like a can.
Not just any can, a can of beer.
A can of beer of Asahi, super
Yeah.
dry.
Sam, you're a musician. You play piano and stuff. Do you have any
True.
questions for this half robot, half prince, all Swede?
I haven't played piano in 2 years since I came to Japan. Unfortunately.
Good question.
Good question. Damn, burn.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you already answered a lot of my questions. Kylie did such a good job.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, I remember something.
Yep.
So when you played Mega Man as a kid in Sweden, did it look like an NES or look like a Famicom?
It's the NES. It's
NES,
the same.
okay.
Okay, but here's an interesting thing. In Sweden, we don't call it NES. We call it Nintendo 8-bit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's
There-
more specific, actually, because NES just
Yes.
means a Nintendo Entertainment System. So
Yeah. Well, because there's people in the U.S. who just call it NES a Nintendo. That's
Yeah,
like
that's
Like
wrong.
moms
True,
and
yeah.
dads.
that's the only wrong answer.
What do they call it?
A Nintendo. It's
A
like, hey,
Nintendo. But
get the Nintendo out of the closet or whatever. You know.
But at
Yeah.
the time, like Nintendo didn't have much other stuff.
Sure,
Game
yeah.
Boy was Nintendo, but
Yeah,
like
but
Game
that
Boy,
was
we
kinda-
say Game Boy, and then
Yeah.
Nintendo was the Nintendo 8-bit.
Okay.
To be
cool.
fair, I'm pretty sure my mom would still call like almost any of the gadgets I have a Nintendo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I could take on my iPad. Put away your Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like calling tissues Kleenex. If you're
Yeah.
part of a family that their introduction to video games was Nintendo, then everything that comes after it is just Nintendo. Right?
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
All right, we solved the problem.
Done.
Done. The age-old
One
Nintendo
of-
question has been answered.
Yes.
Sweet.
It's many people were asking you on Twitter, and
Yeah.
And
they
we solved
gave
that
them the
conundrum.
answer.
It took us years of research, and we finally cracked the puzzle.
All those notifications are gonna go away now, Kyle.
Yep.
Oh, I do have a question.
Oh.
Wonderful.
Okay, great.
All right, so you sort of started with chiptunes, and now you've added on guitar. Do you see yourself making any other sort of swerves, like adding something
yeah.
else?
I'm interested in making other kinds of music in general. Like chiptunes is, I love like those simple synthesizers, those sounds. In general, I like them. But
Yeah.
I make other music as well
Oh, cool.
outside of Robotprins. For example, I make like some fusion electronic music
Ah.
with my Japanese friend who plays the guitar, and I don't play any guitar on that album. But yeah. So as far as Robotprins goes, I'm going to try to collab a little bit more, which I'm interested in, like different artists, which I want to hear how my sound would sound with their sound. Like,
Interesting.
yeah. So I've already been doing it a little bit, but I want to try this out a little bit more. And I have some artists that I really like, and see.
Let's
if I
name them.
Well,
Throw
so,
it out there into the universe.
well, so one of them is YMCK, of course, and I've already made a song with them.
Checked off the list.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. So one guy that I really want to make a track with that I haven't asked yet is a guy called Maxo, Maxo. He's from Brooklyn, United States.
Oh.
And his music, like, he's probably one of my favorite artists right now.
What kind of stuff does he do?
He makes it's not so much chiptunes, but there are chiptunes elements, and it's electronic, dubstep, trap, very jazzy fusion. Is like his chord progressions are like a gospel song or like a jazz. Like, and he's so
It's cool.
different, like, from what. Oh, he's kind of like future bass.
You're getting deep into the genres.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can follow you.
They like the music genres.
Oh
When you say
yeah.
future, do you mean like the artist future?
No,
I don't know what that is.
like a genre that I heard recently called future bass. That
That's
is
future based.
future,
Like a bass guitar bass.
Yeah, like a bass guitar. Future
okay.
bass. Some of those, some of that music is popular. I don't know if it's like popular on the radio, but I know like on YouTube or on Twitter and stuff, people post that stuff a lot.
Future bass is the official genre of Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I should have said like SoundCloud. That would probably be more accurate.
But it is true that I remember there was a website years ago, kind of an unrelated tangent, but as a side note, there was a website I remember years ago that was like genres of electronic music, and it was just a gigantic tree.
Yeah,
It shut down to like the most obscure genres. So like I flipped through that for like a couple days. I was like, oh my god, there's so much here. So like when I heard future bass, I was like, oh, it's one of those genres buried deep in that tree that I've never heard of before.
Yeah.
But it's cool though. It's interesting. It's interesting to me with electronic music that you can have a genre that's so restricting in terms of like, you know, what kind of sound is allowed to still fit within that genre, and you can have an artist who says we are part of this genre and make songs that are different from other artists in that same genre. It just feels like it would be really limiting. I guess chiptunes kind of falls under that as well, but I don't know. I just find that really interesting.
Well, within the chiptune genre too, like if you don't actually use a chip of some
Yeah.
sort, then
Then
people
you just
call
tunes.
yes, they just say tunes.
Alright.
No, but they have a name for it too. It's called like fake chip or fake chiptunes, something like that. Yeah.
So then, do you use like? I mean, where do you fall in that spectrum?
They would probably call me fake
Alright, I
chip.
mean, that's fine. I mean, you know, if it sounds cool, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No. That's also what I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is that like derogatory at all? Fake chip? It sounds kind of derogatory.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why I don't care about it. Like I just because in the end, like people know more what chiptune is than what fake chip is. Like,
Yeah,
who's
yeah.
gonna say, "Oh, I want to hear some fake chip"?
And that's to an untrained ear, and maybe even a lot of trained ears, the in sound is very similar.
Yes, and
Yeah.
people say that to my songs too. It's like, yeah, they think I use a chip, which
Oh.
I don't, and that proves it. Like,
Yeah.
who
Is
cares?
this a big revelation? Are you gonna lose half of your fan base
Oh,
now that
man,
you've
they're
admitted
gonna
that
be
you're a
so mad.
fakester?
They're gonna like come to my place and start like knocking on the door. And,
This is
"We
gonna get
thought of-"
this is gonna get really music nerdy, but
Okay.
I remember you saying that you developed because you weren't happy with the physical modulators on synths. Is that the right word? And so you figured out a way to tweak and manually
yes.
modulate through software, and that
that's
gives you
true.
kind of like a unique sound.
Yeah. You make it sound very difficult.
Please explain it
Because
away
it's
so
all
easy
new to me.
understand.
To me, it is difficult.
Okay, so if you play a synthesizer, well, even if I explain it, it's gonna sound difficult. But if you play a synthesizer, usually you have on your left side you have two wheels. One of them is for pitch, so you can like make the sound go up or down, and then you have one called modulation, which makes a vibrato sound. So if you play and you do the modulation thing, then it will make it sound like a vibrato. So my problem is if I play a synth and I use this modulation wheel, then I don't like the kind of vibrato it does.
Okay.
So I want to make that vibrato manually.
It's something I would never even think about. But it makes sense if you're an like you have the ear of an artist, and it's like you're using
I
low
want it to
resolution
sound like when I
vibrato.
play the guitar.
Yeah.
Basically.
Oh, okay.
Well, and depending on the model of synthesizer you have, you might find a sound that's close to what you want.
I mean,
But
yes,
if you're
you
gonna
will.
Go to the trouble of buying a new synth, just do it on the
But
computer.
actually,
Yeah.
the synths that I use for chiptunes doesn't have a modulation function on it, so I couldn't even use that function.
Okay.
So that's. But I liked that synth sound, but I couldn't make the modulation. So like, how do I get a vibrato with this sound? So I had to figure out. Oh, if I do it manually, like a sine wave, like a vibrato on a guitar, then it would sound like a So that's what I figured out from not having a function on the synth.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now you actually mapped the sound to a sound wave to make the vibrato, right? How you told me you did it. How exactly does that work?
And I am curious about how, like, if you take the sound that's coming out of the synth and then stuck it in a music editing program and added the vibrato to it, or was it how did you pull that off?
Well, when you make music on a computer, you have a piano roll.
Yeah, sure, I know.
Yeah, you know. So and then you have different options like pitch bend and modulation, velocity, different things. So what I did, I choose the pitch bend part, and I write the pitch so it will go up and it will go down at a certain speed and at a certain width. So, but I decide how it is.
Did
not
you manually put each?
Yes.
Wow, that's impressive.
But it's not difficult. Really,
it's not difficult, but it seems like it would be a lot of work.
Yeah.
Having to do that each time.
And it shows that you have the ear of an artist, that you're worth putting in the effort. Like, no, this manual modulation isn't good. I'm going to invent a new way to do it.
Yes.
It's cool that you're particular enough about your sound to go to all that trouble.
Yeah.
Well, I think other artists would do it too, but they don't think about it. Just I think if I told them that you can do this, then that would probably make sense to them.
But they just never cared enough to do it.
Right.
Sure.
But that's why
Never really
you have your sound and they have their sound. They're worried about some other detail.
A lot of people have asked me this question, like how do you do that vibrato? And then I tell them the simple solution to it. I mean, if you use a software like that, then it shouldn't be too hard to understand. But
Oh, our secret studio audience is leaving. Do you guys want to say bye before you leave? Kajin and Meg have just been watching the whole time. You don't want to say bye?
I was trying so hard to not be noticeable.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you for listening.
Nice to meet
Thank
you.
you. Nice to meet you.
Yay.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
you. Hope to see you guys again.
Woo!
Oh, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, see you.
See ya.
Have a good
See ya.
and rest of the life.
Later.
See ya.
I don't know. That's cool. Cause I did some music making in high school and college-ish, and it's that makes a lot of sense. That cause I can see that a synthesizer would be really really limiting in that sense. So.
But if you play live, however, then this doesn't work.
Well, and that's why I guess.
And
it
then
makes
you
sense.
need a modulation thing to.
But if you play like you did today, where you have your songs made and you play a guitar along with it, then that solves that problem entirely. So that's cool. I really do actually enjoy that style, because that's the thing is, I like chiptunes, but to be really honest, like chiptunes, I'll listen to like 1 or 2 songs. I'm just like, all right, this is really cool, but like I need a different sound of some kind.
Yeah.
And having the guitar in there kind of fills it out a little more. So that's really cool. And like you were saying about with the visuals of other groups and stuff like that, like I feel like a chiptunes live I would really enjoy, but
we should see YMCK.
I want to.
Are they touring again?
They're playing in December, so it's a.
Are you playing with them again?
Maybe. I don't know. They didn't ask me yet. So.
Well, if it's early December, it's possible I could go, but
it is.
Remember how you started your career? You asked to be involved in the pre-party. So now just say like, "Hey, what's the deal? Am I going to be in that show?" Or a lot of people have been asking me about it. They're interested, you know.
They like you guys, but they won't come unless I'm there too.
I could bring some
them.
people.
Yeah.
I could ask like 10 people. They would totally come.
But I'd go if it was in early December and like timing worked out and stuff.
Tell them about me. Tell them that Sam will come.
Yeah.
Sam,
they know who he is.
Right, that Sam guy.
But Sam, he said he would come. Okay, you're
That's
in.
right. My name, it opens doors.
Yep. Yeah. Sweet. So have you ever tried making music with like I'm assuming, I mean obviously making it with like an actual physical chip with a Game Boy or something requires all the equipment to do that. Have you ever tried that before?
Actually, no.
Oh, okay. Cool. Just curious.
There is, I guess the problem for me there is most of the times you use a tracker, which is like when I make music I use a piano roll, which is it goes like from left to right, but with a tracker is from up down. So it's like you look at it a totally different way, and it's almost only numbers. But for me it's more like clicking and
that goes back to how you played guitar originally in the first place, because that was something that always looks confusing to me. It's like, oh, chiptunes are cool, I'd like to try making them, but it's like doing it on actual hardware. How would you even know where to go from there? So it's numbers then. Apparently.
It is numbers. Wow. Yeah. Right. So you write numbers. You have like 4 tracks that you can play at the same time.
Yeah.
And then you write different numbers. But yeah, I don't know. I was never into that too much.
Sure, yeah. And cool. All right. Just curious.
Yeah, I guess when you explain it that way, I can see why some people would call it chiptune and not chiptune, because it's a totally different creative process to do it the real chiptune way.
True. Like you're limited to 4 tracks. How can you make it sound fat, or how can you have a melody and a bass line work at the same time with also rhythm going on?
Seems like the definition of Zach's favorite word today, limiting.
Limiting.
You were saying limiting a lot?
I said it a little bit ago.
I thought he said it a lot.
Really?
Maybe it's just me.
Maybe it was just you.
Sam's calling you out.
That's fine.
You need to think of better words, Zach.
Yeah.
Restrictive.
Nice. What else?
One.
Oh shit! Come on! Don't crack under pressure. Limiting, restricted, constrained.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, nice. Cool. We're
Sam,
done.
where's yours?
Yeah.
Tied up.
That doesn't quite get a high five.
Not a high five. It's pass.
That's pass. Just barely though.
We don't like you.
I love you, Sam.
Man, how did this happen?
Sweet. That's cool though. And all the
limiting.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I hate to talk about like my experiences with music too much.
Do it. Why not?
I mean, cause that's the thing is I always thought chiptunes were cool, but it's like the idea of, cause I read up on like how making music on a Game Boy works just a little bit, and I didn't get to the point where it's like, cause I was like, okay, how do you? Cause I know piano and guitar, and so it's like, and those are both within the same. Cause if you go to like trombone and saxophone, they're completely different monsters, but piano and guitar are on the same musical, like C on the piano, C on guitar, for example.
well, that is actually the same for every instrument.
Yeah, but I remember making ska, like I was making ska stuff and writing out like sheet music for my friends to play on trombone. Because we made Alec and I actually. When we did
I know that guy.
In high school, he played saxophone, and I remember making sheet music for a song because I wanted him to play saxophone, and I gave it to him, and he was like, he played it, and I was like, this is completely wrong. What is this? And he was like, that's what I'm playing, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, they're completely different. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's more
That's
what
true.
I mean by that. But
I'm not good at sheet music.
I never knew how to do it, but I just barely got by just enough to give him like a melody to play off of. But yeah, but if you take that and transfer it into like the even more obtuse thing of here's some numbers on a Game Boy, like, man, that's got to be really, really disorienting. If you have already know how to like if you already have musical experience with
right.
guitar or
Like for
something
me,
else.
it just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much that. And again, I mean that makes it all the more like I guess incredible that people like who make chiptunes can make like cool sounding music with only that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's pretty impressive. But I think it's if what the sound you make is cool, then however you do it, I don't think makes much of a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Not
I didn't
that
say it
again.
on purpose, Sam. All right. Anything else we should ask about? You're the host, Kyle. You've done a lot of talking, but
Yeah.
I've asked what I wanted to ask.
I don't know if everybody knows, but we've been streaming in some form since 9 a.m. our time, and it's 8 p.m. almost our time.
It is okay if you don't like have new questions all
I
the
started
time,
off
right.
strong, and I was
Yeah.
hoping these two boys could
Take over.
start taking some.
I pulled my.
You did it. You guys are. You're doing
So
a
it's
good
on
job.
me. It's my fault.
It's all on
Alright,
you, Sam.
Use your piano knowledge to ask
What?
him a piano question, damn it.
Here's your chance to redeem
Oh,
yourself.
but I can tell you about how I make music or something like that.
Let's do it.
I mean,
Yeah.
it is a question of
Because-
where you start. Like, what do you make first? I mean, maybe it's different for every song. But.
So, for example, some of my songs I make in the toilet.
Nice.
Yeah, in the
Are you
bathroom.
serious?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes
Yeah, yeah, sure.
and sometimes I go to the bathroom and I'm like, do my thing. And but
Are we
then-
talking about music or just the sounds you make when you're in the bathroom?
the sounds I make in the bathroom. But,
Like the grunting noise.
but then
Melody.
I like that way of thinking, though. You're inspired by your bathroom noises?
no.
I know.
Okay, so here's the thing, and this is, I think, is true for any creative process. It's all about it comes like naturally. It's not something you think about really. If you are in a happy place, or if you're in a relaxed place, you can come up with natural melodies.
Sure.
Or that
Yeah.
works for me a lot of time. That's why if I'm in the bathroom where I'm not thinking about making music, or if I take a shower, or if I go for a walk, or if I'm on a bicycle or something, like that's not when I'm thinking about music. That's when it comes to me.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of times that's where I get ideas, rather than sitting down. Oh, I'm gonna make this master tune.
The melody just kind of occurs to you, and then you figure out how to execute it.
Yeah,
More or less.
Executing is more like you have to sit down and like work it out. But the main idea comes when and like sometimes in dreams, or like when I wake up or something like that. Yeah.
So you're very melodically driven.
Yes.
When you hear something first, when it occurs to you, do you hear it in a like chiptune type sound, or what's that sound like in your brain?
Probably not chip tune. Sometimes, but it's more about what the actual melody is.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, but a lot of time, I also get chords with it somehow. Like I hear the chords that would fit with it. Not like I don't know exactly what they are, but it sort of works out in my head. And I talked a little bit about this with Yokimura from YMCK, and he said that he has like a similar process.
Do you see anything when these things happen? You have like synesthesia or whatever it's called, or it's just kind of a feeling.
Sometimes it can inspire you, like if you imagine that Robotprins is like on an adventure or something like, and then maybe that I imagine that scene of him doing something, and then the music pops up. Yeah, that can happen. So it can be that you watch a movie, or you watch. You can be inspired by watching things. Yeah, art or movies or anime or playing a game or something like that.
That's
what
awesome.
would you say is your biggest inspiration then?
biggest inspiration. Well,
Sorry,
there's a lot of artists that I've listened to a lot of music. I think that's where, yeah. So there's a lot of artists that I like, and that's how that helps me get my own music. Yeah.
And it shows that you have like progressive music influence, like progressive rock influence, and other influences. It's not just coming from electronic music, or not just coming from other chiptunes groups.
Most of it is not from other chiptune groups. Yeah, most of it is. For example, nowadays I listen a lot to Bill Evans, who is a jazz pianist, which, yeah, I love his piano playing so much. And it's
Bill Evans.
Bill Evans. He doesn't. He's dead now, but he was like he used to play a little bit with Miles Davis, and he.
Oh, wow.
But what I love his like piano trio is always. I'm always so amazed by his melodic sense and like the kind of chords he puts down to his melodies. Like that inspires me a lot, I think. And sometimes I watch like YouTube videos of like organ players or something.
Oh yeah.
They are so good at like chord structure.
Like actual pipe organ or electric organ?
Electric organ.
Yeah.
Like a gospel organ players. They are so. They can create these amazing runs, and like that's something that I find very cool. And then video game music I love. So like Final Fantasy, Mega Man, I love that.
What's the best stage music from Mega Man?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
You mentioned what, Fire Stage earlier?
Fireman
stage. I don't really play Mega Man. Hopefully that's obvious. It's too hard for me.
Go home. Go home, Kyle. Go to your
I'm
home.
already here.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. I thought this was your studio. Yeah.
Yeah, I live upstairs. This is part of my complex.
When I was a kid, my favorite song was Shadow Man. That was my favorite stage. But I don't know if it's my favorite anymore. It has changed.
It would change with time, I would assume, yeah. Because Mega Man has so much music. Alright, let's talk video games for a second here.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So you like more of a like only NES Mega Man dude, or did you play like the Mega Man X games on Super Nintendo?
I didn't play the Mega Man X games.
So just like purely like Famicom original Nintendo?
Yes.
Alright, sweet.
I don't know. I didn't like the music for Mega Man X.
The Mega Man X games are really good games, but the music has a very different feel to it from the original ones. Yeah,
and for some reason, I don't like guitars on a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
Like that kind of fake guitar sound.
It's bad on Super Nintendo and worse on Genesis.
Yeah. I just I like normal guitar sounds, and then the Mega Man tracks are awesome. So
yeah,
for Nintendo, yeah.
You have a band called the Mini Bosses. You ever heard of them?
I've heard of that.
They do covers of like classic game
Where are
songs.
they from?
They're in the U.S. somewhere, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if they're still together, but I had an album of theirs, and they had like a couple Mega Man covers.
Yeah.
And it was incredible.
With actual instruments?
They do it only like drum bass guitars.
Yeah.
And it sounds
that's
just like the original games. It's mind blowing.
There was a similar band like that in Sweden too.
Oh, sweet.
And they were really cool because they had one guitarist, then they had one bass player, they had one guy playing the synthesizer, and then they had a drummer that had like a synth drum.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they made it sound like exactly like the guitar, like the tone on the guitar, somehow it was perfect. It was just like a Famicom song. Yeah.
That was exactly how I felt when I first heard Mini Bosses like ages ago. I was like, how do they? This sounds exactly like an NES. How do they make this happen?
You know, there's a band in Japan. What's their name again? NES something. Well, anyway, they have like 4 synthesizers, and they play it just like the.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the one guy is like the noise guy,
Sure,
and then
dude, yeah.
and there's a one place like triangle, and the square and like it's. I haven't seen them play live yet, but I really want to see that. And they time these kind of lags that happens with a Nintendo.
Oh, so it's like really technical, specific to the original hardware.
Yes.
That's cool.
So sometimes you think it's off, but actually on the on the Famicom it's off too. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's dedication.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool.
I think we've reached the outro portion of the show.
I feel it.
Is my mic still on? You can hear me? Hello.
You're
Yep.
the only one who knows.
I can hear.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us today, Robot Prince. Are you going to stick around for a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I think we might go to the batting cages if you want to come with us.
All right.
Oh,
Do
wow.
some batting.
And so we'll start streaming from our phone again.
Yes.
And so it'll be on a different stream page on YouTube if you're watching us there. And it won't be on Twitter or Instagram. So if you're watching, or I guess we're not on Instagram now either, but it won't be on Twitter or Twitch. So if you're watching there, look at our YouTube page, Tokyo Splosion on YouTube, and we'll be up shortly. And we're going to head to Shinjuku to the batting cages.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And we're going to make Zach cry because he doesn't like
I
sports.
do not want to touch a baseball bat
Cool.
Which is the main reason I want to go. I want to make Zach uncomfortable.
You are the worst. I was so ready to hold the camera, but I see you just had bad intentions from the start, you jerk.
Yeah.
You're an asshole.
What are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Alright.
Robot Prince, final plugs, new album. Get it on
New
Bandcamp,
album
physical
out.
and digital? Or what?
Yes, both. You can get it both. I mean, the physical you can also send me an email, robotprince@gmail.com, or on Facebook/robotprince.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man.
I'll just leave that down there. Facebook/Robot Prince.
Yeah, and the same with Twitter. It's also robotprince with an S, not CE.
Just
So,
like it's on the screen there.
yeah.
Look that up on Bandcamp, Facebook, Twitter,
And Jim Do.
and Jim Do.
That's my homepage. Yeah.
Get his new album. Get YMCK's new album that features Robot Prince on a
Yes,
track.
it does.
And there's also Mega Ran on that.
Yeah.
MC 8-Bit.
Magical Galaxy Tour, it's called. YMCK Magical Galaxy Tour.
It's good stuff. And
EP.
see YMCK in December if you're in Tokyo.
Yep.
I might go again.
And you can also see me play this month
Ooh.
if you're here.
Where?
Or I don't know who I'm talking to now. Like if we're talking to someone in the US or like
Well,
maybe they will
if they happen to be in Japan, where would they be able to see you this month?
Yeah.
in Waseda at
Oh.
Sabako.
Waseda University?
Uh,
Sabako is like a festival or?
Sabako is the name of the live bar,
Oh, cool.
and it's in Waseda. Yeah.
Okay, so like closest station is probably like Takanobaba or somewhere like that.
Uh,
Like Shinjuku-ish. What's
well, you can go to Waseda station with
there
the
was a
Tosai
Waseda
Sen.
station.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Zach
Alright.
lives in Nagoya.
Well,
I live in
well,
Tokyo and I totally knew there was a Waseda
well,
station.
I lived
I didn't.
in Takanobaba.
There
for
are
like
two
a couple
Waseda
months.
stations actually. I think
What?
there's one for Tosai line, and then there's one for JR maybe or something else. I don't know.
Yuki's
Yeah.
nodding, so it must be right.
It's totally unnecessary information, but I
Not if you want to go to the show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I lived in Takanobaba for a while, and it was the guest house I was at was really close to Waseda University, so I just assumed there wasn't a Waseda station because I didn't hear anything about that when I lived there for like 2 months. So that's it. Unrelated story. Sorry, guys. Continue.
It's all right.
Also, I want to give a shout out to Zach's mom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's-
Yeah.
Might not be.
Cappy Pin Saxton.
There's only one person watching, and I'm guessing it's not my mom.
It's probably Zach's mom.
She had her Bible study this morning, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So,
Maybe it's the whole study. Hey, ladies.
hey there, all the
And
ladies that my mom is friends with.
I guess I assumed it's an all-women Bible study. There might be some dudes there,
it's
too.
actually more, they just go out for breakfast, but they all know each other from church stuff. So, hello, church ladies and my mom.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, they were all checking it.
Our
Every
own,
one of them.
our only Sploder friend on this episode is Robot Prince. He paid me the bribe do
Yes,
to get the only spot.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Damn.
So if you want to be the
I need the attention.
If you want to be the only Sploder friend, give me $5,000. We'll do a whole season
Oh
about
man, this has been awesome. Totally worth the money.
Who wants to say the thing?
Can I say to follow me on Twitter?
Oh yeah, we need more plugs.
I have an English Twitter that people can look at. I live in Japan, but I tweet in English. And it's Gaijin Wota. Gaijin is spelled like Gaijin, the word for foreigner in Japanese. That some people say is rude, but I don't really agree with that. That's okay. And Wota is W-O-T-A. And I talk about music and stuff on there too. So if you listen to this episode because of music, I would gladly have those conversations with you on Twitter.
Nice.
Like to. Or Japan or anything.
Maybe I should follow you.
Maybe you already did.
Oh yes, I did. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sam, have you figured out anything to plug yet?
No, I don't have anything to plug.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Don't look for me. You'll never find me.
And of course, find Tokyo Splosion Podcast on Google Play Store, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox. It's all over the place. Find it, subscribe to it, review it, tell us you love us, tell us you think we're cuties. Don't say anything mean, because I'll cry.
Share it with all your friends.
And share it with all your
Nice.
friends.
And your mom.
Tell your mom's Bible study group.
Yes.
Just-
Tell the
they
church
need
ladies
to
that your mom
listen to
spends all
us.
her morning.
Sneak into the room they're in and plug in a little.
It's actually at a rest. They
A
just
little
go out for
Bluetooth
breakfast.
speaker.
Kyle, they go out for breakfast, okay?
Well, maybe these people's mothers might have a different Bible study group routine.
What about
That's
my
ridiculous.
mother's
Yeah.
Bible study group?
Well,
Yeah.
get a little wireless speaker, hook up your phone with Bluetooth, and play the most vulgar episode we have.
Great.
You said fuck. I heard it.
Damn. Whoa.
Prove it.
I think we gotta. All right, let's fix
Okay.
this.
All right. I think Zach and Sam should say the thing at the same time. Do you know what you're gonna say?
I said it before, but I immediately forgot what it was.
See you next time, buttholes.
You guys are idiots. I'll do it.
Oh.
When you want something done right, you have to do it yourself.
Okay, everybody else has done it today, so now you get to do it.
See you buttholes later. Bye. That's the end of the podcast. We did it, boys.
We did it.
Good job, Robot Prince.
Yay.
Good job, Sam.
I didn't do anything.
Sam.
You did great.
Sam
Good
was
job,
awesome.
Zach. Oh, Yuki. Yeah. It's my wife, Yuki, sneaking by. The stream is still going.
We got a stream.
Cool.
I saw you.
Oh, 0.5 alcohol.
Yeah, it's alcohol free basically, but.
Okay, give me
0.5%.
back my suit. No.
I'm really. It was cool to see you do it with guitar for real.
Oh yeah.
That's really badass. Because I would definitely probably get more into chiptunes if there were people doing stuff with doing more of greater variety of things. I guess.
I want to also. I think I want to expand it. Like this is the base, but I could do something more. But I'm not
Can we
really
test
sure
something?
what that is.
Sure,
like,
yeah. Well,
but this is a good
03.
like start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enter.
That's,
And there's like different
I'll
shows.
just
I
hit
think
save.
like some of them can be like if I was doing a whole show by myself, something I need something more.
sure. Yeah.
But then there are shows like that are more party shows or something, and it's more just to make people happy.
Sure.
And,
Yeah. Just
then-
like kind of like
yeah,
a rave-ish sort of vibe, I guess.
Yeah. But
I
but
wanna
some
stand up now.
entertainment shows are like
I'm
that.
sitting in
Yeah.
this chair at least.
Yeah. Sweet.
So,
There we go.
It's really cool, man. Like I will definitely listen to this. Love it.
I probably should have said the guy who made the artwork and stuff, but yeah.
Well, we're still streaming. You can tell the
Yeah.
one
who
or
made
two
this
people
really
on Twitter,
badass art
YouTube, and
on this
Twitch.
album?
Who made it?
Hada is his name, and you can follow him on Twitter. Dot Hada something. I don't know
Oh, no.
exactly.
You can
But
look it up.
he yeah. I think I need to like write it down because I don't remember exactly what it was. His handle name.
Sounds complicated.
Yeah. But he always I ask him what should I write on the credits and say write Hada. Okay.
How
So
do I
just
like,
Hara. He's a
oh,
Japanese
not
guy.
like, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Sweet. Alright.
So he's a cool dude. He actually makes graphics for some games.
Nice. That's cool. There's actually, I didn't say this on the podcast because I didn't want to go off on a tangent about music that has nothing to do with what you're doing. But there's a group in Nagoya called Famicom Jigoku, like Famicom Hell,
I might have heard about
They-
that. Yeah.
It's a 2-person group, and they have one dude who has a Famicom that he actually has taken a real Famicom and circuit bent it, and stuck a big pole on it so you can hold like a guitar, and it has buttons at this end that and knobs and buttons on this end that are all stuck in various places, so you can mess with the audio and the video separately. And he puts it out onto a projector, and he has one guy who plays drums. But it's just straight noise. So it starts out, it's like Kirby, and it's just like, and then it just goes like, just like crazy noise stuff. It's not for everybody because it is just like straight pure like noise. But it's a cool show, and it's interesting to talk to him about, because he's really into circuit bending. Like that's all he does. And so just hearing about how he like, because circuit bending Famicoms and Game Boys and stuff is really really difficult compared to like almost speak and spell kid toys. Those are really simple. Even I did that a little bit. But Famicoms and stuff are really difficult to circuit bend right, and he does a pretty damn good job of it. Plus it's cool because he actually, all his songs are cartridges. He's like, alright, next it's Kirby's Dream Land, and then it's like, next we're gonna play like Yoshi's Cookie. Like that's all the track names are just.
And then he just warps it and bends it.
Have you seen Sakamoto Kyoju?
I don't think I have.
He's like this Professor Sakamoto. He's
Guy
in Tokyo.
Sounds familiar.
And he makes his own chiptune songs, but he can also like play like 1,000 video game songs on the piano.
Oh damn!
So what he does is he does some shows, and he has a bunch of games, mostly Famicom games, like on a table.
Yeah.
And then he has a Famicom on his head.
Yeah.
And then he asks like, okay, choose any game, and then they from the audience, then the audience chooses a game, and then he takes it and he just, then he puts it there, and then he starts playing it.
That's
like,
awesome.
But he says to the audience first, okay, this is Mega Man 2. It's like,
damn.
and then he just starts playing a medley of Mega Man 2.
Hell yeah.
And that's insane. Like
that's nuts. Yeah, that's some talent.
yeah, and he plays it with this like the square sound or something like that. So yeah,
That's cool, man.
that is a cool dude.
That's awesome. I think Famicom Ryoko is actually gonna come to Tokyo at some point here pretty soon, if I believe so. But that sounds really cool. Yeah.
If I believe so.
If
I
I believe so.
Yeah.
If you believe hard
I
enough.
believe hard enough. I don't remember if it happened already. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to happen. But yeah, because chiptunes shows some. Like,
I'm gonna eat
something
this cute
badass.
Totoro.
Please do it.
Oh, it's got matcha filling.
You don't like matcha?
I love matcha. Are you
Nice, dude. Eat it.
kidding me?
I don't ever want to buy one of those. I feel too bad eating it.
Yeah.
Like I can't eat. Like there's so many.
I can give it away because it's cute.
Yeah, there's sweets in Japan that I would never want to like buy it or receive it because I can't eat it. I would feel too
I did it.
terrible.
It's art.
I know. I don't want to eat it.
I cut his ear off.
Yeah.
Anybody want to take a bite?
I'm
Take a bite out of
now
crying
that it
with
doesn't
me?
look like a face, I probably would be okay. Oh.
Have you ever eaten it? You are half robot, so.
All right, let me try this thing.
It's good.
I'm not a big fan of matcha.
You bit into the wrong thing then.
That's why I didn't get a lot
That's
of
really
matcha.
good.
But actually, I mean, I don't really
Whoever takes a bite of this next is gonna get a lot of matcha cream in it.
I'm okay with that.
go for it.
Sam, did you want to try to take a bite?
I ate literally the entire other one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were two of them?
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't get the tie-dye
But
matcha.
yesterday was Sam's
Oh,
birthday,
yeah,
so
just
he.
Ah,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday,
I asked
Sam.
like 5 times if anyone wanted any, so I ate it.
Sam, do you also live here, or?
I live in Tsurumi, which is near Kawasaki.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So,
it's about 50 minutes away from here. I have to transfer twice.
There's really that isn't a
probably
really
similar
easy
to me
location.
then.
Sorry, what?
What?
I'm gonna.
Probably.
I'm gonna end the stream
Okay.
so we can
Bye-bye.
just break off into our own little conversations.
Hello,
Join us
everybody.
later for
Your
batting
conversation.